Welcome, mighty mini truckers, and welcome to the channel. Samson and I hope you're having a great day or have had a great day. I know it's a great day here in the mountains of North Carolina. Fall is in the air. Leaves are already starting to turn on some of our trees. It's 50s in the morning, 70s in the afternoon. As Miss Little Riding Hood would say, it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just right. I know she's not Italian, but anyway. Today's video is the second video in the continuation of a topic about searching and trying to find the right tire and wheel combination for your K-truck and for your mini truck. In the first video, we talked about the tires, and of course, there's a lot of information in there. If you've missed that video, I'm going to go ahead and link it at the end of this video. And of course, you can always go to the channel and type in the title, tires and wheels, and it should come up and you should be able to watch that. Now, in today's video, we're going to talk about the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and give you some information about that. Maybe a little bit redundant for some of you folks, so just kind of pan on through the video. But I figured I might as well go ahead and share that information, especially for those who are just starting out their search for the right tire and wheel combination. Well, folks, let's go ahead and get the show on the road. Just grab that favorite cup of joe that you've got, or hey, if it's the end of the day of a long work day, grab your beer, just sit back and relax, buckle up, hey, and let's go. Okay, before we transition over to the laptop to do some searching, I wanted to go ahead and give you some information and give you some measurements that you'll need in order to match up your wheel to that tire that you found that you want to mount. Now, there are two types of materials that the wheels are made out of. One is steel and the other one is aluminum alloy. Of course, with the aluminum alloy, you have a lot more manufacturers, you have a lot more styles to choose from than you do from the steel. Now, if you're going to be one of these guys that goes out on, say Red Rock and just abuse your vehicle and abuse your tires and wheels, you may want to go ahead and get a steel wheel, especially one that's really heavy duty gauge steel. But otherwise, if you're just doing, trails and a little bit of rock climbing and so forth, or riding on the road, aluminum alloy will do you just fine. I've had both on multiple vehicles over the years, and I've had zero issues with any of those. So I prefer the aluminum alloy just because of the fact that you have more manufacturers and you have more styles to choose from. Now, just like your tires, there's a few measurements you need to know about your wheel in order to properly fit that wheel to that tire or vice versa. Now, in the case of the wheel, you need to know the size of the wheel, you need to know the width of the wheel, you need to know the lug bolt pattern of your wheel, and you also need to know the offset. Now, with the size of the wheel, where you get that size from is the sidewall of your tire. You usually have 2 to 3 numbers on there, and the last number corresponds with the size of your wheel. So in this case, if you have an R12, that's 12 inches, you know that your wheel has to be 12 inches. R13, 13 inches, and so forth as you go up the scale. Now, with the width of the tire, that's the first number on the sidewall. Okay, just say in this case, as an example, the 165 is 165 millimeters, which translates into 6.5 inches of width. So that's the width of your tire, 6.5 inches. Now, you don't want to go past that 6 inches, because if you do that, of course, your wheel's bigger than your tire, and of course, it won't hold any air. Now, with most radial tires today, they're tubeless, okay? You don't have to have an inner tube in order to hold the air within the tire. And most tires today, especially the radials, wherever you mount that tire on the circumference there, around the circumference of the tire or the sidewall, you've got what's called a bead lock, okay? Now, that bead lock fits into a channel on your wheel, and that's what seals the wheel to the channel, to the tire. And that's how you hold the air in the tire. And that's how you keep from having leaks. Now, they recommend that you always get a wheel that's actually narrower than the width of your tire. So in this case, you have a 6.5-inch wide tire. You can mount it to a 4.5-inch wide, 5 wide, or 5.5-inch wide wheel. Okay. And why they recommend that is, the more pressure you have against that bead lock, it locks down that bead lock into the wheel. And so that's what seals it off. Usually with those three numbers, you want to pick the number in between. So in this case, it would be 5 inches. So you want a 5-inch width wheel. Now moving on to the lug bolt pattern. All the trucks have, or most of the trucks have, different lug bolt patterns. I know with the Sandbar, it's 4x100. So that's 4 holes, and it's 100 millimeters between the center of those two lug bolts. Okay. Now I think some of the others have a 4x110, some have a 4x114. So that's what you need to know. Now you can always change that. Say you found a wheel that you really like and it's got 5 lug bolts instead of 4. Now you can always change that out with a spacer that's a conversion spacer. The only thing is, you're going to add on to the offset. So that's going to push that tire further out. So you're going to have, possible wheel poke. If you're okay with that, I don't have an issue with that. I'm not looking for that because where I'm going to be running on the trails have a lot of rocks, and I really don't want to scar up the side of my sandbar. Anyway, so you need to know that. Now, the fourth thing you need to know is the offset. Okay. And the best way to explain that, if you look down the width of the wheel, okay, the center of the wheel, that's the center point. That's usually 0. Okay. Now the offset, as you move that hub further out, that becomes a plus number. Now with the Sandbar, it's, especially with the 145x12 or R12, it's a plus 45 or plus 45 offset. Okay. Now, a lot of times you can get a wider tire to fit, and so it doesn't rub against your suspension underneath the truck or the coils by decreasing that offset. So you're moving it back towards the inside of the vehicle or back towards the vehicle. Okay. You can do that sometimes if you've got enough. So you don't have to put a spacer on there. But of course, once again, that's going to put more pressure on that steering and on that suspension system underneath. Now, there's also a backspace. Some wheels have a backspace on them. So instead of going out away from the vehicle, they're going in towards the vehicle. And usually that's a negative number. That's so you don't get the two confused. So that's where offset's important. In fact, I'm going to show you a website and a calculator that will actually show the difference visually for you. So now that we've gone over those parameters, let's go ahead and take a look at these websites. All right, folks, before we start our search for wheels for our K trucks, I wanted to go ahead and show you or demonstrate a wheel offset calculator that I found at tiresize.com. As you can see, we're already here on the website. We're already at the calculator. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. And as you can see, here on the right-hand side, they've got an area that actually shows you visually how your tire setup looks and how your new setup looks. And now over here on the left-hand side, you actually have the calculator. Let me move it up. There we go. As you can see, you have an offset calculator, and then you have an offset converter. Now I'm just going to keep it on the calculator for now, but in this gray area, you've got the original setup. So I went ahead and put in the 145/70 R12 which is what usually comes in the States on these trucks. And I know that the wheel offset is a plus 45 millimeter. Now, if you drop down here to the little bit further in the orange area, you have the new setup. Well, the tire I'm actually looking at is a 165 ADR 13. Now, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at a plus 45 millimeter and compare that. Now, as you can see, if you follow my cursor right here, this is your original tire setup, and then the gray with the outline is your new tire. Now you can see, because that tire is wider, it actually makes that tire almost zero point 0.4 inches closer to your suspension. Now the suspension on the K trucks is not quite that angled. It's a little bit more straight up and down. So, but that's you'll still have plenty of clearance even with the plus 45. Now, if you wanted to get it off of your suspension even further, you can change the offset. And I'm going to go ahead and change it to a plus 35 millimeter. And we'll hit compare, and you'll see that automatically puts that tire and wheel combination further over away uh, from the suspension. Now, it says here on the right hand side here in the middle, 0.01 inches closer. So it's basically about the same. Now, that does mean that your tire is going to poke out a little bit more, but it should still fall underneath the tire well. Now, this might put a little added extra pressure on your suspension and steering system underneath, causing your parts to wear out quicker, but I don't think it will. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you real quick is the other tire I'm looking at is a 175 8013. Let's go ahead and change that to back to the plus 45 millimeter offset and compare that. Now you can see that actually pushed that tire further over, puts you 0.6 inches closer to your suspension as far as your coils and your suspension there. So it looks like it'll fit, but with the K truck, I think you're probably going to have to either find a wheel with a different, a little bit less offset, or you're going to have to put a wheel spacer in. I know people that have used that tire and actually put a 3/4 inch spacer in there to get that tire and wheel further back away from the suspension. So when you go to turn, it doesn't rub up against it. I just thought that was a neat little tool that you could use, and hopefully that'll help you when you're trying to match up your wheel with your wheel and your tire combination. See how that matches up with your suspension. Of course, the best place to find and search out any kind of JDM parts or JDM wheels is where the trucks are being manufactured, and that's in Japan. I have found two websites that I've been searching on. One is Krueger Up Garage, and the other one is the 500 Yen Shop. Let's start off with Krueger Up Garage first. Let me get to that website. Well, here we are at Krueger.com, and not only do they do wheels, they also do JDM car parts, and they also do bike parts. As you can see over here on the left-hand side, it's one of the most user-friendly sites as far as trying to find wheels. Now, you're going to find new and used wheels on this website, but what's so neat is right over here on the right-hand side. Oh, let me get rid of that. That's the only thing about this website I don't like, is it always has a bunch of ad pop-ups. But as you can see over here, you can fill in all the wheel specifications that you want to search out for wheels, okay? So in my case, I'm looking for a 13-inch rim. I know that it is 4 holes, and it's a 4x100 width. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the width. I usually don't do this because sometimes it doesn't come back with much, but I'm going to go ahead and do it this time. We'll do the 4.5 by 5.5 because that's what they recommend. So let's go ahead You can do the offset too, but let's go ahead and put it in there anyway, just see how it. Let's do 35 and then an offset of 45 max plus 45. Okay, now we got that in. Let's hit search. Now, as you can see, you've got a bunch to choose from on here. I mean, there are a lot to choose from. As you can see, there's 498 wheels on here. Now, the only thing is, what you want to look for is you want to look for just the wheels. A lot of these have the tires already mounted on them, and the problem with that is that's added weight. So, of course, when they go to ship internationally, that's going to add a lot more weight to the shipment, which means that increases your shipping cost. Tell you what, just for fun, let's go to the first one here. It's a E-Sprine 7-spoke wheel. We'll go ahead and take a look at it. Now, the other nice thing is they usually have a lot more pictures than this. This one's only showing 2 pictures. But right in the center here, as I scroll down, you'll see they actually give you stars for the product condition of it. They give you shipping instructions. You pay by PayPal. But as you can see right here where it says rim size, it is a 5 by 13 with a plus 35. So that's pretty close to what I'm looking for. It's 4 by 100 as far as your lug bolt size. And of course, quantity is 4. But anyway, they give you a bunch of information here. Now, let's scroll back up. And as you can see, let me get rid of this ad again. The total cost for the 4 is only $60. That's 8,800 yen. Now, the only thing is, you think that's pretty cheap, and it is. It's for use, even for a U set, you'd pay a lot more than that here in the States. But as you come down here, you'll notice you have your shipping calculator. Let's go ahead and plug in some parameters here. United States, North Carolina, 28412. Hit your shipping quote. Takes a couple seconds. Okay, now this is where it gets expensive. As you can see, you've got your freight charges here. And for DHL, it's $351. For FedEx, it's $348. And of course, EMS is $654. So that's what adds up. That's what gets kind of costly. I mean, you're paying more for the shipping than you actually are for the wheels. But still, you're within the $400 range, which is $100 a piece. So really, that's not that bad. And from what I've heard, they ship pretty quickly too. That's one of the nice things, especially if you use the FedEx option, which is actually a little cheaper than the DHL. So that's a really good site for finding wheels for your K trucks. Now, the other Japanese site I've been looking at is, of course, 500 Yen Shop. And I'll take you there in just a second. You just hold on. Okay, here we are on 500 Yen Shop's website. Let me tell you a little bit about 500 Yen Shop. It's actually a proxy site. So what they do is they integrate 4 of the most famous Japanese e-commerce platforms. One of them's Yahoo Auction, the other one's Amazon JP. They also have Mercari on there and Rakuten. Okay, now the one thing about the Japanese sellers on 500 Yen Shop. Of course, some of them are actually a business, but then there's a lot of individuals that sell there also. And the individuals a lot of times can't ship internationally. They can only ship within Japan. So what happens is they take their product, whatever you're buying, and they ship it to 500 Yen Shop. They take that product, repackage it, and then they will ship it internationally to you. The only caveat is you're not going to know exactly all of the fees that you're going to have to pay with 500 Yen Shop. So it may cost a little bit more to purchase that product from them. You just don't know until you actually get the invoice on it. Now, the other thing about 500 Yen Shop is you also have to pay a commission fee. it's pretty reasonable. It's only about $4.50. Of course, that could change a little bit with whatever the rate of the yen is at the time compared to the dollar, but it's really not that much. Um, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the site now. Okay, now if you see my cursor right there's your search bar, and I've already plugged in 4 by 100 by 13. So that's your lug pattern plus the size of the wheel. Let's hit search. Now that's the only thing. It does take a little bit of time since they're trying to uh, grab everything from these other sites and put them into, you know, one sale page. We'll go ahead and scroll down a little bit. As you can see right here on the left-hand side, lots found, 356. I mean, 356, that's quite a bit. And of course, if we would have not put the 13 in, it probably would have been closer to 10,000. So you do weed out a little bit by putting the 13 in. Okay, for just an example, let's go ahead and click on this set of wheels. And I'll show you what their website or the sale page looks like for this. Uh, I guess it's a vendor. Yeah, looks like it might be a vendor. Okay, and as you can see up here, they tell you the prices for all four of these wheels. Okay, they're 13 by 4, 4 by 100 with a offset of plus 45. And it looks like they're Mini Light genuines. I don't know who that is, or I guess that's the product. Yeah. These actually look like they might be new. They could be used. No, they're not new. You can see it here in the. If you look at the description right here, there are some scratches, a little bit of dirt. Okay. Now the other thing is they do show you a bunch of pictures. Let me get it out. Yeah, even show you the backside. A little bit of rust on that. That's probably coming from the hub, since the hubs are steel. Now I don't mind buying used because I know how to recondition them. It's not that hard. I mean, the other thing you can do also is repaint these, which I might do with mine anyway, um, or as far as paint them. So I'm not really worried about that too much. Now, as you can see right now, the current price is 22,000 yens, which is $149. Now, they do have a cost calculator here. We'll go ahead and hit on that. But as you can see down here, they have the price at 24,200. I guess that's if you buy outright. And they have an additional charge of 1,000 yen. Now, the show the total weight as being 500 grams. It's going to be way more than that. But you can always figure that out. Just kind of get an idea in your mind how much they're going to be and do the conversion from pounds to grams. And then right here, you change to the United States and just hit search. And that'll give you a basic idea of how much the total cost of these wheels will be once you purchase them. Like I said, there might be some other costs there that you may have to deal with, but you won't know until you actually get the invoice from 500 Yen Shop. So that's another option for you if you're looking for wheels for your K truck. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to go domestically, and we'll go to a couple different websites domestically here in the United States and see what they have. Now, domestically, you have your regular e-commerce sites like eBay. You've got Facebook Marketplace, and you can also do a web search for other mini truck vendors. Search out their website. Some of them do carry brand new wheels, not so much the used ones, but brand new ones. So I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and start with eBay, since everybody's pretty familiar with that platform. Okay, everybody should be familiar with this website. Um, as you can see up here in the search bar, I typed in 13 for 13-inch wheels, rims 4x100, and hit the search bar. As we scroll down, you're going to see there are some vendors in here that carry quite a few. I'm pretty representative of it. Here's a 13 by 8 by 100 by with the 20 offset plus 20 offset, and that's a little bit out of my range. But if you're wanting to put on a bigger tire, of course, that's an option for you. Here's some used ones, not exactly ones that I would buy, but then you also have some newer ones down here. Now, this one I kind of like. This is for new. They're 13 by 5.5s, which fits right in with what I'm looking for. Now, I have a feeling, let me see where these are coming out of. We scroll down here. Now, the total is 361.84, which isn't all that bad. Now, you can tell they're a universal. They've got some other holes in there. Maybe not so much universal. It probably has another wheel pat or low pattern. Scroll down some more. Get the specifications here. Yep, they're Koenigs, which is a good brand. There's four of them. Weight's 11 pounds each, which is pretty lightweight. I would expect them to be weighing a little bit more than that. But it gives you all the information down here. You got the bore size of 73.1, which will definitely fit. Um, at least it'll fit the sandbar. It should fit the others also. It's a 5-spoke. Of course, rim diameter is 13. Then it's a cast material, which most aluminum alloy wheels are. Now, it's got an offset of 38, which is fine. It's still within the parameters that I'm looking for. So that might actually be it. That's a really nice set of wheels. Now, the other nice thing, that's also a nice thing about the Japanese site. So you can go ahead and save this particular wheel if you wanted to, or you could also save the seller. And that way you'll get notifications whenever they bring in new product. Now, the other thing that I found on eBay is, say, like this vendor right here. Now, what he's doing is he's reconditioning rims. He's taking OEM rims like this one would fit the Celica, the Corolla, the Eco, the Tercel, or your Toyotas, um, and then recondition them. So, and price wise, they're looking at $61 per rim. Let's take a look at him. I've actually got him saved. Now it says one, but you could on the quantity, but you could go ahead and put four in there because he still has 10 available. So that's another option for you. Now these are going to be, most of these are going to be steel. Now occasionally we'll find some that are actually aluminum alloy that they've reconditioned. Of course, they're going to cost a little bit more. Now there's only two of them. The Roto style wheel. Now these 13 by 8's a little bit bigger than what I need. But anyway, there's quite a few vendors in here, quite a few sellers. So that gives you plenty of options also to purchase something domestically. And of course, shipping is going to be a good bit less than international shipping. At least it should be. All right. Now, the other option is Facebook Marketplace. Let's go over there and take a look. I haven't had a lot of success with Facebook Marketplace, but you might. It depends on what locale you're in. Now, of course, the other thing about Facebook Marketplace is a lot of sellers want you to meet them. And if you're okay with that, cool. Um, but if you search outside of your area, especially I'm in a small town. Um, Closest metropolitan area would be Charlotte for me, or either Raleigh. So I'd have to look in that area. But if you want them to ship, a lot of them won't ship. Occasionally, you can talk them into it. I've actually done that once. But that's another option as far as trying to find wheels for your K truck. Okay, another option that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about is going to salvage yards to find uh, some OEM wheels. I know that we've got a salvage yard here in North Carolina called Pick and Pull. It's a franchise operation, but they're spread throughout the state of North Carolina. Now, of course, you're going to have time, and you're also going to have tools because you have to remove them. Now, occasionally, if it's an aftermarket wheel, they will remove those and put those aside for people to go through. But most of the time, if you're going to find any, they're actually going to be on a vehicle that's actually sitting in the yard. So that's another option. Now, of course, some of the domestic and some of the Japanese manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers, did produce cars that had 13-inch wheels. Now, a lot of those are older models, so like in the 80s and 90s. I do have a website that does list those manufacturers, and I'll put that website down in the description box below. So if you want to open that up and check that out, that's also another option. Well, folks, that concludes our two-part video series on tires and wheels. And hopefully we've given you enough information that you can go out and find the right tire and wheel combination for your K-Trucks. Folks, if you like this video or any of our other videos, please smash that like button. Hey, and help us grow this channel by also subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos when they come out. As we always say here on the channel, get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. Hey, take a child camping and fishing. That's a memory they'll always remember. And also, happy trails. Ciao.